You're welcome back to the Gavel. Now, the PDP and the APC have concluded their party primaries to elect candidates to contest for various elective positions in the upcoming 2015 general elections. But several issues came up during the party primaries, one of which was the holding of parallel primaries in some states in the country. Now, we had a chat with a legal practitioner, Barrister Godwin Ogboji, to tell us the legal implications of holding parallel primaries in states.
For me, it's the thing I expected to happen. Ordinarily, we are supposed to evolve, but we still have this element of wanting to be in a position at all costs. The desperation of politicians is something you cannot take away from them, but it's something that will come to pass. I want to really believe in that. So it did not really come to pass as a surprise, because before now you look at the build-up to the election, the desperation and desire of a lot of people coming in. And then one other major thing you must notice is the fact that in a lot of communities you have zoning arrangements, not known to the public, because now this family from family, even look at, it's a way of life in us, because if you look at chieftaincy title in our communities, it's from house to house. So when it comes to elected position, it's also from zone to zone, from community to community, from individuals to individuals, as the case may be. So in most communities, they have the zoning arrangement entrenched in the community. But if an incumbent gets there, he doesn't want to, particularly in the National Assembly where you don't have a term limit, he doesn't want to leave the power. And then the other zones that you say, this is our agreement, we want to insist. And maybe because the person that is presently holding the position, the incumbent, so to say, has one or two advantages now, we want to insist on having is go at where he's not supposed to go to again. Another person also might have on their own influence also and say, okay, let's try it out. And then all this might come up in the foreplay when you go to court or appeal to the NWC, National Working Committees of the party, to look at it. So that is where you see the desperation. So when the desperation of politicians, not the electorate of me and you now, it's the person that think you have a profession, I have a profession. Even if we go to politics, I can happily fall back to our profession. But if you look at these persons, most of them now, it is like a job. So when they get there, they don't want to live there again. And the process of getting there is very tedious. And that is why you see, let us throw all these things and have these primaries. At the end of the day, let's see who the law favor. At this point in time also, because they have money and believe so much in money, because one thing you must know is, every politician does not look like me and you. He doesn't see what you see. With due respect to them, they believe in marabouts. They believe in a lot of things that are not conventional. So if somebody have told you that this is, you will be this, you cannot hear me and you and say the parameters and this is on ground. No, somebody somewhere have told you something that you think must come to pass. And you also believe in your money that nobody that cannot be bought in Nigeria. That is their mindset. And okay, let's do whatever I want to do, no matter how legal or illegal it is. We use one thing or the other to influence it in our favor. So all those parameters and all those intrigues play into having all this stuff. So at the end of the day, they say, let's push it back to the court to see who the person that is rightfully supposed to be there will be.
So what is the legal implication now of this parallel primaries?
The legal implication is at the end of the day, the court will come to decide who actually is the person that is supposed to go there that have not gone
not
there.
The party?
Not the or eventually, before now, we're having some discussion now of, we say that most often the parties have their prejudices, have their biases, have their preferences. And because somebody might want to be aggrieved, you insist, irrespective of what the party says. And the typical example is Amechi versus Omeha. The party brought out Omeha and said, this is a candidate. You remember the former president of Pastor going to Port Harcourt and said, there's nothing wrong with Amechi, but there is a candidate who has care leg, and they brought in Omeha. But there are laws. That's the good thing about it. That comes to your question, the legal implication. There are laws that have set out machineries in motion on who a candidate should be and how the candidate should emerge and who should elect the candidate. And that is where we talk about delegate list and how is the delegate list, how did they evolve from the world, local governments or stuff. So if you now don't have the legal, then who vets the final outcome? So if at the process, you now have world election, you have local government election, you have state election, and you have delegates coming, and then somebody one way or the other substitute delegates. That's why you have different, because all these persons having their parallel elections have
delegates. Yes.
You understand that? So which one is the authentic delegate? That's where it comes to be now. That's why if the party have a fair thing and place their delegate, but now even as we speak now, most of them, you cannot even scrutinize the party's delegate. You don't even know which is the final delegate of the delegate list from the party. So each person has his own delegate. So that is where it now comes to be that the court now plays a role that for a person to be a delegate, this must have happened. Then how did you come about your own delegate list? That is where the courts are always involved, because even the national National Working Committee cannot even impose delegates, because the delegates is a grassroots something, you pass it on to them. So if you now can garner enough evidence, you say this is how this person is emerged, this is how this person is emerged, these are supposed to be authentic delegates, because the party cannot enforce delegates. They have what we call statutory delegates, yes, but the majority of the delegates evolve from election, because me and you might put ourselves that want to be delegates and will be voted for, and that's where a lot of politicians that knows their onions go and ensure that their own people that support us get elected into becoming delegates. That's how it's done. So the legal implication as it is now is, the point is, illegalities have come up to be. It has to go for determination, and it will be determined one way or the other in favor of any person. But where I want to say that the law is a bit vague there is that there is no punishment for people that deliberately and consciously fabricate delegates.
Okay.
This is what the National Assembly have to also start thinking of. For how many elections now? We are going to the 5th election now. We have had it's not a new thing. We have had prior from the inception of this democracy in 1999. This has been happening. How do we stem this permanently now? It's to bring a provision for punishment. That if you go and doctor a delegate list, if you conduct a primaries where you are not supposed to conduct a primaries, there are consequences, not just punishment from the party, but criminal consequences might be attached to it. I can assure you that things might change. But now any person can just go and do whatever I want to do, because as I earlier said, I have the money, I have the influence, or my mother have assured me to go about this thing, and nothing comes out of it at the end of the day. Now the legitimate winner is now forced to go and defend his mandate in court. The party is now stressed to expend resources to defend itself in court. Nothing happens. So for now, there's no legal consequences on persons that those things are outside the law. So that is one place that the National Assembly should also think of. Party primaries, because now election of party and electoral acts now talks about how you elect candidates. So any person that is not conducting the election according to the guidelines, according to the rules, extant existing rules, should be punished, because persons that are doing this know themselves.
It's a deliberate act.
It's a deliberate act to see if you can influence it tomorrow or next tomorrow. The authentic list, how do delegates emanate or emerge, should be entrenched in the laws, and it is entrenched in the laws. And who brings out the final delegate list, and who scrutinizes the final delegate list before it's out? If the final delegate list emanates from the party, irrespective of the choice of the party, because as I told you earlier on, it's me that go about to ensure, because the delegates are not just appointed, they are elected to ensure that my supporters are elected. So if the party does not even like me, they don't have any powers to influence the delegate. So if all these things are there and the party cannot influence the delegate, and somebody else wakes up to go and produce his own delegate list, that is criminal ab initio. So it should be punished, banned, and imprisoned. I can assure you will not have this crisis. But because there's no punishment for it, you can do what you want to do and go scot-free. So why will I be bothered? I'll do it again and again and again.
And there were other issues coming out, arising from, from the primaries, issues of thuggery. There was even a complaint that was raised. A lawmaker who participated in an election says he got there, they were supposed to be doing, that was in Bayelsa State, they were supposed to be doing accreditation, and by the time he got there, accreditation had ended before the time that the time it was supposed to have ended, and voting had even finished. So he claims that there was a deliberate plot to exclude him from participating in the primaries.
Yeah, that is just one of the different gimmicks different politicians will use to outsmart each other. He has not told us what he did to also outsmart his other opponent. Maybe he has just overrigged or outrigged. That is why he's talking his own. But the point is, it does happen. But the most important thing, as we said, if there are provisions, and which there are, the electorate are taking effective care of this, but it's just one or two places that they are not effectively putting the laws to punish offenders and then make it punishable. Because now there's nothing criminalizing this deliberate evil conduct. If there are, at least from when it convention should start, like in Sokoto State. You're also aware of the fact that Shagari, the former Minister of Water Resources of Minister of State, the Deputy Governor now as it is now, walked out of the convention. What did he say? He said deliberately delayed. He is talking at in Bayelsa, we are hearing about the fact that he said even before it's supposed to start, and he ended even before the thing was supposed to start. In Sokoto State, he said it was deliberately delayed for so that the authentic delegates will not be able to participate, and then they could be able to smuggle in people that are not accredited delegates. That was what happened in Sokoto State PDP primaries, and this is happening in Bayelsa. So it depends on the game plan of each politician to want to do what you want to do. But at the end of the day, if we get our laws right, if we get our psyche right, and if the politicians know that this is not a do or die affair, apologies to Obasanjo that believes that politics will be a do or die affair, that is for service, then we'll not have to go to this. If you are supposed to sit down to interview me, none of your colleagues should come and struggle to want to talk to me. is supposed to be you, and maybe the management have deemed it necessary that you are the appropriate person to do this job. So why would somebody come? So, and this is now eliciting and pleading for votes from the electorate. Do the right thing and nothing will happen. But it goes back to what we are saying again, desperation for power. Not that the power is for the benefit of me and you, just for their own personal, parochial, primitive benefits. That is how it is. If it's for your benefit, if I'm coming to serve you, I'll not stress myself. I'm coming to offer you service. Why will I go out of my way? So the issue of the complaint from Bayelsa and Sokoto is the game plan of each politician. The person complaining also had his own game plan. Maybe he was just asthmatic, but that's not been the case. But now it comes back to let's having the laws. If that is where the court comes in now. If by the convention, because before any election or delegate election, you must have a guideline and regulation. And the guideline says this election should start by 9. And the election now starts by 6 a.m. It's a grant to nullify it entirely. So this man that is complaining now has the right to go to court to seek for the annulment of that delegate election. So he has that right. And that's the good thing and beauty about what I'm getting excited about now. Yes, you cannot just go straight to court. You petition the National Working Committee, you hear their response before you do that. That's what Ndomegba have done in Cross River State now. Petition the National Working Committee about the conduct of the election where John Ewan won. So it gives you room to ventilate. And this period of the time you're ventilating your anger, your grievances, it also gives you room to reflect, to think, and to calm down. So that is where the excitement of the court system and the avenue to express your grievances helps the politics. If election is supposed to start by 9,
and that is even
by 9, then there's a problem somewhere.
It even brings me back to this question in the sense that the elections are just less than 2 months away. And if they're going to go to the court, that means we might not see these cases resolved before the elections.
But we have seen matter, yes, not before the elections. The election might take place and the person might be sworn in as a person, but we have seen severally. That's why they call that the person will be removed and the person that is not complaining, because the process that took you in was flawed. And it was wrong, and the person that is complaining ought to have been there. You go out, but that's not the right thing. I agree with you. That should be done way ahead of time. But it still boils down to let's do the right thing. And that's why, for me, I believe that by the time you criminalize that, as you criminalize the issue of parallel congresses, you criminalize the issue of bringing fake delegates lists out, you criminalize the issue of using touts if it's established, because delegate like now we are coming with the permanent voters card. Now we have biometrics where you print, and we see that the person that thumbprint is not thumbprinting the right person. And you jail 1 or 2 prominent persons, just like now, fortunately for us now, the courts are raising up to the responsibility. A person will be given 21 days to show cause why he should not be punished. If we go up, push the notch up, and punish the people that are doing things that are not appropriate, I can assure you, you will never want to fall prey to what they have done that is wrong against the law. So because there is no punishment, so the law should be tightened. And this is what we have experienced for the past 4 elections we have had in this country. There is no need for whatsoever to have a parallel Congress if the National Working Committee are upright.
Now looking at there's a trend now of governors now coming into the National Assembly. What does this portend for democracy of Nigeria? We are seeing some seasoned lawmakers not returning, and then governors are are now seeing the Senate as a place to come and retire. Home. What does this portend for democracy of Nigeria?
It portends a very terrible scenario for Nigeria, in the sense that this is supposed to be the engine room of democracy. Anywhere in the world, the parliament is the engine room of democracy, because everything, the presidential appointments are cleared from the parliament. Budgetary expenditure that push the government to do things are done by the government. And if you see most of these governors going are failures. People have not done anything in their respective states. That just wait on fair allocation to come and share. These are the people going to and we have seen them on the floor of the National Assembly. And what have we gotten from them? Apart from bickering or settlement or saying that it's a family affair. It's going to be a certain, because the industry, the desire, the capability to work will not be there. These are people that come from an extremely comfort zone, and because they don't want to go back to where they are coming from. Ordinarily, it's not supposed to be so, but let me still have the patronage of the federal government, have constituency allowance. I cannot have budget, let me at least have constituency allowance every quarter. They will not give you the best. That I can assure you, because we have seen them in the floor of the National Assembly. Which of the ex-governors in the National Assembly, I don't want to mention them, but you and you know them. Which quality representation have we seen from them? But the saving grace that we have the House of Representatives, that is always vibrant. One way or the other, always vibrant, because that's where you have different crops. You can have somebody of 20-something years, 30-something years with vibrancy. Intellectuals are there that try to work. I'm so happy also that they are not condescended to go into the House of Rep. So that gives us some vibe and some hope. Because the good thing is, apart from clearing the presidential nominees for appointments, every other team must have the concurrence of the House of Representatives. That is a going for us. And then if push come to shove, there has to be votes. All of them will sit down and they have the numbers in the House of Rep. But it's a policy where, because of this scenario,